Okay. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with a Pastor. I'm going to wait for some people to jump on. Whew. For anyone who may be watching, I am frazzled this morning. I'm running behind on everything I need to be doing. Tracy, hey Tracy, how's it going? How's it possible to feel busy? But it is. Hi Matt. Good morning. Okay, hey friend. While we are waiting for people to jump on, this is Good Friday and the start of Easter weekend, the end of Lent. It's definitely a liminal space, and we're in a strange time, of course. So I'm wondering, while we wait, for those of you watching, what since Good Friday is a day for lament, what is an Easter tradition you usually do that you are gonna maybe not do this year? Or on the brighter side of things, do you have any creative plans this year for Easter? I intend to get dressed. I would love to take a picture of my family, regardless of if we go anywhere, which we're not going to go anywhere. But what are you guys kind of lamenting this year with Easter? It's Good Friday, and actually, we moved into this house at about 3 years ago. And every year since we've moved into our house, we've hosted Good Friday service for our whole community, for our whole church. And I am sad. This would have been our fourth year. To host today. So I'm grieving that today, that we don't get to have everyone over and sit on our back patio. Yeah, I see. I see some pros and cons. Yeah, as you're jumping on, people are sharing kind of traditions that maybe won't get to happen this year, but also things you are doing too, if that's how you'd rather look at it. But I'd like to make space for the grief. Drinking coffee. Hey Val, so great to see you on. So great to see you. Actually don't have, that is so funny because Val is a tea drinker, but I actually don't have any coffee with me, although I did have some earlier. Okay, so you guys, thanks for joining on Good Friday. Feel free as I continue to chat, to drop in your Easter traditions, whether you're able to do them or not this year. I'm so sorry for those of you who are feeling sad about it. I definitely miss having everyone over today for Good Friday. But we are still here. This is happening. Hey, David. And so what I would like to encourage you to do, good morning, Tori. Hi, is I would encourage you today to still follow the Good Friday in the lectionary. And I'm sorry, I'm like distracted because a neighbor just walked right past my driveway. Anyway, I'm not going to read the lectionary for you today. It's very long and I don't want to rush through it. And so I posted posted the whole reading broken up 4 times for you in the caption. And what I want you to do is to read the story of the Passion today. And you can read it all at once if you have time, or split it up however you'd like. But to make it more accessible, I gave you the option of breaking it up into morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And I really, really want to encourage you to read through that. I read through the whole thing this morning. It's my kind of custom to wake up really early before the sun rises and read through. And I hope that you will do the same. So I'm not going to read through, but I'm assuming most of you know the story. And what I want to do is I want to read an excerpt to you from a book that has really shaped how I look at Christ's crucifixion and the whole Easter moment. But again, today, Good Friday, we are in that place where we have followed Christ to the depths, and we are letting that sink in today and tomorrow on Holy Saturday. And this is a space where we accept the discomfort. We accept it. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. We don't push it away. We don't ignore it. We don't fast track to Easter. This is what we're meant to do today. And so we have traversed the Lenten journey, and now we are meant to hunker down in this pain. And I think this might be easier to do this year than it is some years. We hunker down in this pain of Good Friday. We read the Passion, and we don't do this to obsess over Jesus's pain, like, oh gosh, that must have really hurt. I mean, yes, obviously, but we do this to reflect on why he saw this brutal, violent, dark path as necessary. And so, leaning into this discomfort, I want to read to you an excerpt from this book, which has been the most monumental book for me so far in my life surrounding the Easter moment and, of course, the Passion. This is The Cross and the Lynching Tree by James Cone. And this reading will make you uncomfortable, potentially. And so, since we're in a space where we're allowed to be uncomfortable, I'm going to go ahead and read an excerpt. I am so sorry. I hope this is easy to take in and digest. I just basically invite you to do that now and to try and pretend like I'm just talking. Okay, so this is from chapter 2. And just to give you a heads up, it'll be probably about like a page of an excerpt. Yeah. Okay, so this chapter is called The Terrible Beauty of the Cross and the Tragedy of the Lynching Tree. The lynching tree, so strikingly similar to the cross on Golgotha, should have a prominent place in American images of Jesus' death, but it does not. In fact, the lynching tree has no place in American theological reflections about Jesus' cross or in the proclamation of Christian churches about his passion. The conspicuous absence of the lynching tree in American theological discourse and preaching is profoundly revealing, especially since the crucifixion was clearly a first-century lynching. In the lynching era between 1880 to 1940, white Christians lynched nearly 5,000 black men and women in a manner with obvious echoes of the Roman crucifixion of Jesus. Yet these Christians did not see the irony or contradiction in their actions. As Jesus was an innocent victim of mob hysteria and Roman imperial violence, many African Americans were innocent victims of white mobs thirsting for blood in the name of God and in defense of segregation, white supremacy, and the purity of the Anglo-Saxon race. Both the cross and the lynching tree were symbols of terror, instruments of torture and execution reserved primarily for slaves, criminals, and insurrectionists, the lowest of low in the society. Both Jesus and blacks were publicly humiliated, subjected to utmost indignity and cruelty. They were stripped in order to be deprived of dignity, then paraded, mocked, whipped, pierced, derided, spat upon, tortured for hours in the presence of jeering crowds for popular entertainment. In both cases, the purpose was to strike terror in the subject community. It was to let people know that the same thing would happen to them if they did not stay in their place. The crucifixion of Jesus by the Romans in Jerusalem and the lynching of blacks by whites in the United States are so amazingly similar that one wonders what blocks the American Christian imagination from seeing the connection. That the analogy between the cross and the lynching tree should have eluded the Christian agents of white supremacy is perhaps not surprising, but how do we understand the failure of even the most progressive of America's white theologians and religious thinkers to make this connection? And by the way, guys, this book is pretty old. I'm gonna see. It's several decades old. No, it's not. Sorry. It is from 2011, but Cone has been writing about these same themes for decades. And we hear the voice of God in these words. I feel like I just read to you a piece of the Passion story. And someone asked me recently why, why does Jesus have to die on the cross? What's the point? Why is that really necessary? Is it really connected to our salvation? All those kinds of things. And people can have all different kinds of opinions about that. But one thing that I think we cannot deny is that Jesus, in this path of suffering, expressed his solidarity with the oppressed. And we know throughout Scripture that the themes of God are a posture toward the poor, toward the most vulnerable, preferential treatment of those on the margins. And we see it in this high point of our entire faith. It may seem like a low point, but this high point of Christ crucified. So I think that the why is so that we can understand the depth that Jesus is willing to go to on behalf of those who are suffering and on behalf of those most vulnerable. And by the way, we are all victims, and we are all suffering from the domination systems of this world that Jesus soundly rejected by dying on the cross. And those things include all the things we talk about all the time: racism, sexism, white supremacy, homophobia, classism, any domination you can think of, any domination system that you can think of, a power structure that you can think of. Jesus rejects those in the way that he expresses solidarity on the cross. And so today is the day. Today is the day that we express our own understanding of solidarity with the suffering and solidarity in our suffering. I know that you guys are all suffering in your own way. We all are. But there are those of you who are listening to this and you're like, I'm suffering. And yes, today is your day. How can you think about solidarity with the suffering today? And how can you think about solidarity with your suffering today, specifically through the passion of the Christ? And this is why I invite you to go throughout your day and read them in a meditative way. Read part of it right after we get off here and just sit with it. Read part of it after lunch or at the lunch hour and just sit with it. Read part of it around dinner and part of it when you go to bed, and sit in that discomfort, in that pain, in that suffering. Where else is hope cultivated? Where else? This is it. But don't think on hope just yet. Don't look ahead to hope just yet. Feel your feelings. Take on the world's pain, lament, grieve. Stay here a while, knowing that there is still beauty here. There is a lot of beauty right here. And God is here in this place. And so today and tomorrow, Holy Saturday, I call that liminal space, where we're past the darkness of Good Friday. We can sense the hope and joy of Easter Sunday. We're kind of in that liminal space. I feel that space resonates with me most right now. That's where we'll be tomorrow, and I invite you to just sort of be there. Don't jump ahead. Especially, again, like I said, this year, I think it'll be easier to do for us than in other years. In fact, maybe Easter will be the challenge this year for a lot of people. But anyway, that's pretty much all I got today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you guys a very blessed, peaceful, thoughtful Good Friday. Let me know what you're up to. I wish we could have been together, but thank you for joining now. And we will see you live again on Easter morning at 10 a.m. Have a few, special things planned and hope to see you there. So have a good Friday. Oh, and don't forget, 4 p.m. We're still working out. We're still working out today. Happy hour hit with Kiana, 4 p.m. Central. She'll be there live. I'll be working out. I hope you guys will join us. We'll talk to you later.